Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you how to set up a Jenkins server hosting and have it hosted online. So I'm just going to use my hosting provider of choice. So I usually go to Vultr, but there's AWS or Azure, Google Cloud. There's many of them out there. I'm just going to use Vultr. Just go vultr.com, and then if you don't have an account, create the account. So I've already got an account, so I should be able to just log in by pressing that button, I think, my account. Okay, so I've already created an account. So once you've created an account, it should look like this. And what we want to do is head over to products, so products tab, press the plus button, and deploy a new server. And then we want to choose cloud compute, and then choose Sydney. And then we want the server type. We want to go to marketplace, and then scroll down, and then find Docker, and then it'll ask you which version you want. We want the Ubuntu 20.04. So choose that, and then choose the server size. You can choose $5 or $10. I'm just going to put $10. You just $5. $5 might be enough, but I'm just going to choose 10. And then host, give it a random server name, like, I don't know, hello server. Deploy. Okay, now you'll see that you have your own instance of that running called hello server, like that. Okay, so just wait for that to install. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, so it looks like it's finished installing. Okay, so what we want to do is press these three icons, press that little funky icon here, and press server details. Now we want to take down our IP address. So that's our IP address, yeah? Like that. So I'm just going to copy that, and I will just put that in a note somewhere. Don't worry about that. So this is my server IP, and then username is root, password is this, so I'm just going to show the password. Yeah, don't worry, I'm going to be deleting this instance after I'm done, so don't get too excited. Let's save. I'm just going to save that on my Jenkins setup deets. I'm just saving it as a text file. Okay, so we've got our username, server IP, and password. Okay, it's great. Okay, so now we want to jump over to our terminal. So I'm using iTerm, but I think the default Mac one is called Terminal. So just use your terminal of choice. So my one is iTerm. For those following on Windows, it should be the same. You could use PowerShell. You should be able to enter these commands the same way. Okay, so let's let's remote into our instance that we spun up. So we type SSH root. Was that our root? So I'm just going to put that there. SSH root at the IP address. Yep, so just type that in. Yes, I trust it. Now it will ask you to type in your password, so just copy that, and then paste it into our terminal, and then enter. Okay, that can go away now. Okay, so we are inside our instance that we just spun up, so it was pretty easy. So now, this server comes with Docker pre-installed, so it should make our life a little easier. So what we want to do now is create a Docker container with the Jenkins image. Okay, so I'm just going to paste this command in. Okay, so going back to my terminal, I'm just going to paste that in. So what that's doing is it's running the Jenkins long LTS image with Java 11 in there. And I'm giving my image a name of, I'm giving my container a name of my Jenkins, and we're exposing the port 80 to the weld, okay? Now, it would, behind the scenes, it would create a volume called Jenkins home, and that'll map that to the containers volume directory under var Jenkins _ home. So let's give that a go. Press enter. Yep. So cool. So it's going out to download that image from Docker Hub. Let's wait for that to load. Okay. So once that's loaded, let's make sure the Docker, let's make sure it's actually running. So it's Docker PS. Okay, so we can see that it was up 10 seconds ago. Now, what you need to do now is copy the password. So just copy this command, copy, paste that. So this is executing a command that tries to print out the password, and we want to get the initial admin password. Okay, so I'm just going to press enter. Now, see that? That's my password. Okay, so this is the initial admin password. Initial admin password. Okay. Now, that's done. Now, jump back on your browser and head over to the IP address. Remember what was our IP address? This one, right? So let's go here and open a new tab, paste, and go. Okay, so Jenkins has successfully started. Now you see how you've got this public IP address? Now you can share that with your group members, the people who you work with. Okay, so let's pop in our initial admin password. Enter, continue. Okay. Let's install the suggested plugins. Yep, so just that one. So this should take some time, probably about 10 minutes, depending on how fast your server is. So let's just let it run, and I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, so it looks like our plugin installation is complete. Now we want to create our first user, so I'm just going to create my username, first admin user. Frank at frank.com. Obviously this is fake. Save and continue. That will be my Jenkins URL. Yes, save and finish. So start using Jenkins. Great, so we've now successfully installed Jenkins onto our server. Now this should be publicly accessible. You can share it with your friends. Okay, so first cab off the rank, what we want to do is to install the Jacoco plugin. So we want to be able to, we want Jenkins to be able to display our test coverage and test coverage trends. So let's head over to Manage Jenkins. Available Manage Plugins. And then go to Available. So this should be Manage Plugins. Yep, so I'll be sharing this document with you as well, so don't worry. So go to Available, type in Jacoco, select the box, and install. Should I download now? Download without restart. Okay. So what's happening behind the scenes is our Jenkins server has gone out to download the plugins and has installed it for us. Now we want to tell it to restart when there are no other jobs running, which I feel should be now. Okay, so just let that restart. Jenkins is going to shut down. Okay. So sometimes you just have to be a bit patient with these things. Just let it run its course. Okay, and now because I'm impatient, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and see if I can open it in a new tab. It should ask me to log in again once it's done. Okay, so sometimes this page gets stuck, so don't worry about that. It seems like the Jenkins server has already restarted. So now I'm just going to go here. So remember the username and password that you had? Yep, so keep me signed in, sign in. Okay, great. So the next thing we want to do is to set up our Gradle. So let's head over to Manage Jenkins. So we're in step 4 now, and then Global Tool Configuration, and then scroll down till you find Gradle. I'm just going to give my Gradle installation a name. It looks like it's going to download from gradle.org, so I'm just going to type Gradle 691, but you can type whatever you want. My Gradle 691. Sounds like a fitting name. Cool, so let's hit the save button. Great. Now, this building on a controller node can be a security issue. Yep. We can worry about that later. Okay, so this next thing, we want to head over to Manage Jenkins. So yeah, we're Manage Jenkins here. And then Global Tool Configuration here. And then GitHub Enterprise Servers. Okay, where are we? No, sorry. So let's just go back to the root page. Manage Jenkins. And then configure system. Configure system here. So let's head over there. If it wants to let us. Yep. So we want to scroll down till we find GitHub Enterprise. So what? Find this and then press add. Now we want to add the API endpoint. So the API endpoint is just this URL here. This URL. This is UCID's GitHub Enterprise URL. Okay, so I'm just going to type, you can type in whatever. GitHub UCID. Yep. Okay, press save. Okay, great. So now we're ready. So what I'm going to do, just to prove that this works, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to github.sydney.edu.au. So this is the university's GitHub. Now I've created a project called Fruit Shop. Now this is just a Java project with a few unit tests. So what I'm going to do is press code, copy that URL. It should start with HTTPS, like that. And I am going to go to the dashboard and I will create a new item. So this could be like Frank's first project. Okay, freestyle, choose freestyle project. Okay, now it's asking us where should we pull our code down. We're going to use git, and our URL is the one that we just pasted here. Remember this one? So copy and paste. Okay, so because this is a private repository, so we need to pass it credentials. Okay, so let's add our Jenkins credentials. So username should be your unikey, and then I'll type my unikey. Yep, and then ID is just a name, so you know, Frank's unikey. Haha. Okay, now press add. Now it's saying it's still failing. It's because we haven't chosen the credentials that we just added, I think. So click on that. Okay, so if you see that message going away, it means it's successfully authenticated. So Jenkins has successfully authenticated with GitHub. Now in the real world, you don't want to be doing stuff like this. You want to be, you know, generating like a personal access token, or you want to have a separate pair of SSH keys. But just for simplicity, I'm only doing this for simplicity, and I'm going to be deleting this entire instance once I finish this video. Okay, so we've set up, we've finished configuring the repository. Now what we want to do is to set up a trigger. Okay, so GitHub webhook trigger, like that. And then I want to, so this tells Jenkins when it should trigger a new build. So by selecting this option, we're saying, okay, Jenkins, trigger new build when GitHub UCID GitHub tells you to do so. Okay, and we'll be setting that up shortly. Build environment, no. So we want to add a build step. So remember, on your local machine, you're typing gradle clean, gradle build, gradle test. We want to do that on Jenkins. So what we do is just add a build step. So let's invoke a Gradle script, and then it will ask us which Gradle do we want to use. So we want to use the one that we created. Remember, my Gradle 691. Okay, and what task do we want? We want to clean the directory, and then we want to build, and we want to test. So we're running 3 tasks: the clean task, the build task, and the test task. Okay. Now, what else do we want to do? We want to that's all for now. We can add JUnit and whatnot later. So just press save. Okay, so let's try and manually kick off a build first to see if it works. So I'll press build now. While it's doing that, I am going to go to my original Jenkins server to see how I've configured my other projects. Give me 1 second. So don't worry about what you're seeing here. Okay, test report URLs, that's what we want. Okay, MISC. Okay, this is for JUnit test results XML. Okay, so don't worry about what you're seeing on the right hand side. I'm just preparing for what I'm about to show you next. Okay, so let's just make sure that it was able to build console output. Okay, so we can see that our build successfully executed. It went out, Jenkins went out to USID's GitHub, pulled down my repository, ran my Gradle task. That was clean, build, and test. Great, it works. But this time we wanted to display the JUnit test results and also the Jacoco test coverage. So what we want to do is go back to configure, like that, head down, and let's add an extra build step. So we want to we want to add post build steps. We want to publish a JUnit test report. Now this is asking Jenkins, hey, can you display some funky test report? And to do that, it needs to know where the XML file is. So I'm lazy, so I'm just going to ask it to look for any XML file that's within a folder called test-results. So I'll just put that there, press save. Okay, and then I want to configure again. So I also wanted to generate a test coverage report. Okay, so what we want to do is right click, Jacoco coverage report. Yep, so just click that and then press save. Okay, so let's manually kick off another build now. We just want to see the test results. Okay, go there. So you can see it running. It's Gradle build, it's running. Okay, so it's passed. Now what I want to do is go back to number 2. See how I've got this screen has now got the Jacoco test coverage, the summary, and you also have this extra thing at the bottom here called test results. Now if you click on it, and you click on Fruit Shop, which is my application name, and app test. So you can see it ran all my tests. Now what that is just this. So app, source, test, app test Java. So on my project here, on my repo, I've got all these tests. So app has a greeting, add has ability to add numbers, add has ability to subtract numbers. So it's actually ran all that on Jenkins like that. And not only has it done that, if I go back to build number 2, it's also given me a test coverage report. So you can see a breakdown. So I'm just going to expand that. So you can see a breakdown of all the instructions, complexity, line, method. It gives you a nice breakdown. So you can click, 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 click. Beautiful. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to set this up so that every time I push, it will automatically kick off a new build. Okay. So to do that, what we want to do is to go here, go back to the Fruit Shop or whatever your application is, head over to settings, and go to hooks. Now we want to add a new hook. Okay, so add a new hook like that. And then we want to put in our IP address. Now this may or may not work because if USID's servers don't accept non-HTTPS requests, then it won't work. So I'm just fingers crossed this will work. So just type in that address there and then type GitHub webhook /. So I've put this down in the notes called the payload URL, and it's just your IP address and then GitHub /. Okay. So then it should be GitHub webhook /. Now we want to choose application JSON. Okay. Now let's press add webhook. Okay, we've sent a ping, read more about it. Okay, so we've got a green tick here. Now that would make me think like it should work. So let's give it a go. So let's trigger a change here. So let's pull this repository down. So I'm just gonna go. Yeah. Let's pull that repository down on my VS Code. I'll just open a new tab. So projects, tests, uni stuff. Go to uni stuff, and then I'm going to go git clone, and then I'm going to pull down that repository. Yeah. So I'm going to open this on VS Code. So don't worry about that. So I've got fruit shop. So let's change the. So right now it should be get greeting. So hello from the fruit shop. And a shout out to Jenkins. Okay, just typing any other random message in here. So what I'm going to do is I'll hide this. So now if I type git status. Oh, cd fruit shop. If I type git status, it should say I've made a change. And if I go git diff, this is the change I made. I just made a shout out to Jenkins. Okay, so I'm just going to go git add dot git commit dash m. Hello. Okay. Just going to commit. Now what I want to do is hit git push. Now this will push to the remote repository. The remote repository is fruit shop. Okay, on USID's GitHub. Now hopefully as soon as I press git push, my left-hand column here should kick off a new build. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Push. Hopefully we see it. See how as soon as I hit git push on my local machine, a build number 3 is kicked off. Okay. Now if I go to build number 3, I want to stress that this is my local machine. Okay, my local computer is called Gunmetal. This is my local laptop, my MacBook. This is happening on my MacBook. On the top here, that's the remote server on Vultr. Okay, so. Just to prove that that worked, we want to go to build number 3, and then we want to go to console output. Now let's look for shout out. Shout. Okay, that's not going to work because I didn't execute gradle run. Okay, but you can see that it actually kicked off a new build as soon as I made a push. So see, you can see my commit. Hello, details. It even tells you what changes I made. Details. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a glimpse of how to set up Jenkins on the cloud. Okay, good luck.